ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. You either make excuses or you choose to level up. Amazing guests living the big ticket life. Woo! Woo! Brandon Britton here.
Appreciate you having me here today, man.
It's that kind of discernment, that kind of focus, that kind of forward thinking that's so important if you're going to succeed in business today.
Jeff and I are like friends. We're real friends.
We are and so you unlock fortune and freedom without all the stress that normally comes along with it.
It all comes down to your why. Your business, why are you doing it? How is it going to change the world and what's it going to do for your family?
I want you to celebrate your success.
Talk about the struggle. But I promise you, the story is in your struggle.
They'll never be able to say that about me because people only see me working hard in anything that I'm doing whenever they see me.
Focus on your success and the success of those around you.
But being that constant in your community, good or bad, whether things are great in the community, bad in the community, who's steady?
Unapologetically do business and life on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. Amazing guests living the big ticket life. And we discuss how they do it and the big ticket methods they use. The things that make your life successful so you do life and business on your terms.
In and of itself, the only limitations that we really have on ourselves is the ones that we allow to be put on ourselves. And most people don't look at it in that perspective.
There's nothing wrong with being humble, but there's also nothing wrong with stepping into your superpower and letting people know who you are.
Get ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. All right. Well, that's like the second time that new intro was played, and I really think we're going to like it because I get wound up. Like it puts some fire under my seat each time I've heard it. I'm happy to have Jessica Dennehy on the line today. Sorry. We don't cut here. We just go live. So Jessica Dennehy, happy to have you here. You're just like pretty awesome all around. I mean, started your career on Wall Street, rubbed elbows, did business with power brokers in the country. You turned passion into a project and you founded your own barbershop, Mad Men Barbershop, which is very cool. And you've got all this savvy to create all these different revenue streams. And now you're the founder of Pivot and Slay. Amazing mother. I love all your TikTok dances that you do with your girls. I love how you make time, the way you pour into your family and you pour into yourself and your clients and your businesses. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Thank you for that amazing introduction. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm happy to have you on the show. So we're going to kick off the discussion right away with a little bit of vulnerability on my part. I think in this journey called life, we all have a choice whether we can grow or not. Fair statement, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm really focused on a handful of things, but one of them is kind of like letting go of things that drag you down. And so we've all gone through COVID as business owners. We all navigated that in similar ways. And then some of us navigated it in very different ways, right? Some people saw their businesses decimated. Some people saw their businesses explode. Some people made new businesses. I mean, like the amount of distilleries that got into the hand sanitizer business as an example, maybe they're not so much doing that now, but there was opportunity and there was struggle.
I had
for me, right. I did too. Yeah. I mean, I think if most are honest, there was a little bit of both for everybody. But, for me as a business owner, we have in my retail business something called business loss interruption insurance. And we're not going to get into all the weeds of what that is and what it means. But, I had it. And, we have the opportunity, or we have the ability to make a case to say that claim should have been paid out. If you know anything about those claims nationwide, they were denied en masse because of the viral exclusion that exists in most of those policies. So without getting in the weeds, there's been a number of people I've spoken to who feel there is a case, legal professionals, that is. However, it's all a choice on what you want to do. So I came to Jessica and I said, at our first meeting, the first time I met her at Apex, I come and I rain on the parade because I was choosing to hold on to this negative energy, this negative focus, because I wanted to prove I was right. But really, on the flip side of that, what's to gain? So the question to you, Jessica, from your perspective, how is it, what do people need to do to let go of those kinds of things? I've decided to let it go, right? We had a little talk in the pre-show. You can be right and still be wrong. From your perspective, how do people let go?
I think that's what people don't understand is you have a choice on what you focus on. You choose what you focus on. So in every situation, you can extract good, or you can extract something negative. The lens is what you make of it. So if you want to see the bad, you're going to see the bad. And if you want to see the bright side, you'll see the bright side. Sometimes it's harder to see things from a different perspective, but it's still a choice. And that's kind of what I said to you. And it's funny because I say this to a lot of people. Whenever people find out I'm an attorney, they always want to talk to me about what they think they deserve from the greatest lawsuit they think they have a chance of winning. And I'm like, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe you have a good shot at that. But is that what you really want to spend your time and energy focusing on? And that's really where the choice lies. What are you choosing to invest your energy into? Because you only have so much to give, right? Every day we each get 24 hours. Every day we each get a certain amount of energy. Where are you going to place that? Where are you going to see the most ROI? Is it from dwelling on all the bad stuff, or is it from rising up and finding a way? Because the way that you just described COVID, I was thinking, yeah, I did. One of my businesses did get decimated. Oh, but then I also started a brand new business and that really lit up. So, I could have chosen to sit home and wallow like many people did about how the businesses are shut down and what are we going to do? And, life's over and we might not bounce back and blah, blah, blah. But I just instead chose to pop into action and find a way to keep my business that was shut down in people's mouths. How am I going to keep people talking about the business, keep it in front of their eyes? And then how am I going to create more revenue streams that don't rely on that business so that I can continue to slay? And it's really just you choosing to direct your focus on something else.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about a lens of choice, right? You can choose to focus on things, positive, negative. Maybe you think you're focusing on something positive. For me, the mind where I went in that, in my mind around the legal case, if I were to go down that road, is I would be a champion for small business. I will stand out front and I'll take those arrows. I'll be that first domino to fall because the argument is sound. However, it's a long ass argument. I mean, as an attorney, it's a journey, years. And, at the end of it, I decided, first of all, as you said, we get so much time in a day. And I just want to be focused on more positive stuff. I've arrived at that point in my life where it's time to just do that, make that choice. But moreover, when I really looked at it, what we lost versus what we continue to do in that time frame, what the dollars and cents would be if the insurance company agreed to it, it's $100,000. That's it. It's $100,000.
Yeah.
That's $8,300.
Listen, $100,000 is $100,000. I'm not taking away from the magnitude of that. That's life-changing money for a lot of businesses, right? But one of the pillars of Pivot and Slay that I founded this coaching company on is you have to continue to push forward on where your real goals are, no matter what, because life's going to throw you a bunch of curveballs, but it's how you deal with them that really determines whether you slay or you don't slay. And that's where Pivot and Slay comes from, right? We're pivoting because we have to. We're basically like those hamsters in a maze, and they're trying to figure a way out. If they hit a wall, they don't just sit there. they try to figure it out, right? That's the pivot is, okay, my plan didn't go the way that I thought it would, but if I make this slight shift, maybe that will work. Oh, wait, that doesn't work. Okay, maybe this will work. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, maybe that will work. And during COVID, that was me. I was like, what am I going to do? Wait, let me try this. Nope, that's not going to work. Let me try that. That's not going to work. You have to keep pushing forward. You have to be innovative.
Right.
You have to get creative, and you have to keep your eye on the prize. We get distracted by these things like insurance and lawsuits when we have no direction, right? Like maybe we're in a growth spurt. We don't really know what to do with the energy. So we just throw it at the wall or we throw it into the first shiny object. When we lack direction, we can't make purposeful moves. And if you sit down and think about what is going to get the best ROI for my business and for my life, it's generally not being tied up in a lawsuit for 3 years. That's generally not the purpose. We can forge the way for other entrepreneurs in other more proactive, positive ways. And that's what I threw myself into during COVID. I was hung up on getting PPP loans, which were like mind-blowingly complicated. And I'm a lawyer. So I'm like, well, if I don't understand this, how's the average business owner going to understand this? Why don't I just use my social media to help people? So I started giving out free advice on social media and free business support and ways that I was using my time throughout the shutdown so that people can see like there's positive ways to use your energy right now. We're all nervous. We're all scared. We're all unsure, but let's funnel it into something that helps people and helps us stay upbeat. And I think that's a choice. Back to the original point is like, I made the choice that I was going to funnel my nervous energy and make it something amazing. And I created a whole new revenue stream for myself. And more importantly, I'm like touching the lives of other entrepreneurs on a regular basis. And that to me is the most amazing part, even if I made $0.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's it's kind of like I said, I'm going to be that champion, right? It's the champion's code at times that we can all pick up. Like for me, I so believe in the power of local business, what that does for a local community. You operate a Main Street type business with Mad Men Barbershop. Talk about community through a business. I think a barbershop's like one of those important cogs in a local community, right? Because there's 100%. So much. 100%. Talk about what that's like for a second. Because I'd love to hear your perspective there.
I adore small business. It's what I never had. That wasn't something I always had in me, but I think because I became a small business owner and I really fortified my space in the community and I've gotten to meet so many people in the community, I've just become even more passionate about it as the days go on. And during COVID, that passion was further ignited because we did a lot of community mass drives and stuff like that at a time when no one had access to them very early on. And I got to meet all these business owners. And I'm in New York, in Long Island, and there's a lot of small business here, barbershops, salons, restaurants, all mom and pop. And I feel like there's such a great community vibe to it. You feel like you're really, when you hire people and when you're helping people look good for work and when you're communicating with other businesses, it's helping other people that are just like you. They're not crazy billionaires or anything like that. They're just people who had a good idea and created something from nothing. It's such a beautiful, amazing thing that many people could not accomplish because they don't have the fortitude or the consistency or the risk-taking ability. And so I thought to myself earlier this year, I'm like, man, we should all be in a room together, like learning and networking, not pitching our stuff, but really just supporting each other's journeys in whatever zone of genius. Share your zone of genius, right? Like learn something new, connect with people. And so I started this free entrepreneur group and I'm hosting free meetups every month, just so people can get to know each other. And I'm getting speakers to donate their time to talk to the group and educate people because there's so many small business owners who, if they just had a little bit more resources in, getting knowledge from each other, that they would be able to soar even more. And I don't mean resources like hiring resources or financial resources. I mean, like just playing off each other. What'd you learn? What'd you do? Oh, you did that? Let me try that. Like giving each other options on ways to try to build a business differently or shift your perspective a little bit, see things from a new angle. And that to me is really the crux of the word community, is just people who want to help you rise up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, business ownership, you know, you often hear people who kind of get pushed into business because maybe they like make this amazing pie or this muffin or cookie, or they're very handy so they can do handyman repairs. And so they're like, okay, well, that makes sense. And I'd love to own my own business. So they start, right? Um, you know, as an example, just this morning in 15 minutes time, you helped me set up a new entity. It's actually pretty simple, you know, to do these things, but the success comes from overcoming the fear, and overcoming that fear. You said it just a second ago. It's in the consistency to do the work. But being that business owner that kind of gets past, all right, you got the entity set up, you got the place set up, you've got the open sign on, you're doing some business. All of a sudden, I think a lot of business owners realize they're in this lonely place of being a business owner, of being a risk taker, of their friends that work 9-to-5 jobs aren't like them. You know, at 5:05, they're at happy hour. They're checked out with family. They're doing their own thing. But as a business owner, you're kind of on the clock. So have you ever dealt with that? Like kind of feeling like you're out there isolated? I'm sure you talk to business owners that feel way. What are your thoughts there about that loneliness of being a business owner and how to overcome it?
That's exactly what I'm trying to combat right now in forming this group. And it's funny because people, they're so skeptical, right? I mean, they're just like, wait, you want to
Yeah,
help me? I don't understand. You want to help me? I'm like, yeah, I want to help you. And guess what? It doesn't cost you anything. Like, I'm just here to help. People are like, what is going on? Right? Because they're not used to people pouring into them in this way. And business owners are used to being misunderstood. But the thing is, we're all similar. We just need to get in rooms with each other because we're different than the general public, and the regular, employee mindset is not the mindset that we have. And there's nothing wrong with either mindset. It's just that ours is a little bit more unique and not as easy to find people who think and act and dream like us. I think it's important in the journey of any entrepreneur to find those people who don't try to tell you you're dreaming too big. Don't try to tell you you can't accomplish something, because the beautiful part of entrepreneurship is that dream and that effort in to the unknown, where you're like, I think I can do this. I'm following my gut, which I like to call your inner compass, right? You feel it inside. Like you're like, I think this is the right thing to do. But because I can't explain it to someone else, they think I'm crazy or they don't support it. I get you. I'm here to tell you, I do that too. All right. And there are other people
right.
like us, and people, this is a thing. This is how entrepreneurs get to where they're going, by just following their gut and kind of acting instead of reacting. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And if you're in the right rooms and you can seek out people like you won't feel that lonely, because there's a ton of us out there. It's just that when we're really moving into the entrepreneurial space, it's important to kind of realign yourself, like the friendships that you have and the familial ties you have are great for certain things. It won't be great for your business life. And there's different parts of you, and they each need to be fed, right? Your family life needs to be fed, your friendship life needs to be fed, but your business life needs to be fed. And so in that vein, you need to find the people who understand that part of you. And I think we get this expectation, like, if you're my friend, you should understand everything about me and you need to have an interest in everything I do. And that's just not
Yeah,
realistic, right? Like, when you want to go to happy hour, go find those friends and go out and relax and let loose. And when you want to have a business conversation, find those friends that you can talk to
yeah,
about that. It's okay that they're not the same group of people. there's a purpose for everyone in your life. And I think that's just a mindset shift that you have to make as you continue on your journey, because it's going to, aligning yourself with people with the same business acumen is going to make you go further, because it's going to push you to think differently and constantly innovate and take those risks, because those people will be like, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's go out and try it.
Yeah. I mean, the importance of being in a room with people that celebrate your success and you in turn celebrate their success is so utterly important. I had a call prior to our show today where I'm going to do a joint venture with somebody, and they are very friendly with a former Google X executive. And they shared with me the insights from that person is that if we let this world go the way it's going long enough, the AI will create this, thunderdome of negativity, and we're lost. We are lost as a society if we don't get in. If we don't surround ourselves with positivity, that's what's in place. Like, it exists now, and that's why being in like what you're doing in your local community, I think is great. And what you're doing as a coach, what you're doing with Pivot and Slay is great, because we need more of that. We need to show people there is a place you can go, right? Where everybody's your friend, right? Kind of like Cheers, right? Everybody knows your name and they can celebrate your wins. I need a shot of, I need a shot of whiskey. I do have a bottle right here. But anyway, we won't get into that.
It's important to focus on resolutions. A lot of people get caught up in the complaining portion of life, and they don't actually come to the table with a way to resolve the pain. And that's the problem. Then the pain is recycled, and we keep talking about it, but we're not actually taking any action towards resolving it. And so I like to focus on, how can we make this work anyway? How can we, carve a path and pivot around something so that we can get to the goal that we set out to begin with? And this is with relief. This is not just about business, guys. Like, the number one thing I say in my coaching is, I could give you business strategies all day long. I got tons of them. But if you're not showing up as your best, most empowered self, ready to be innovative, ready to take risks, ready to learn, ready to be open to the fact that you don't know everything, none of the business strategies are going to save you. And it's such a huge portion of being successful is your mindset. And not a lot of people realize that. So you have to focus on bringing solutions. So what? There's a problem. You're going to face a problem every day, whether you're a business owner or not, in your relationship, your friendship with your kids, every freaking day. So you might as well come to the table with an innovative way to resolve it. At least give it a whirl. Without that, all you're going to have is recycled complaints over and over again. And you're living in that negative space. And that's not where you want to be.
Yeah. On that note, so a few minutes back, you used the phrase pouring into people, whether that's your friendships, your family, your employees, your business, your local community, your peers. So this term pouring in seems to be, it's prevalent in our world, right? Because it's kind of like tribal language for people like us. We're connected through a room called Apex, which is one of the biggest, what I would call a networking mastermind in the nation, in the world, maybe. So it's like kind of like tribal language for us. We get it. We know what it is right away. But for people maybe newer to that world, people not in that world, to me, I'm going to share my definition of pouring into people, where it comes from me. And then I want you to pick up on it, if that's all right. So for me, the very first thing about being able to give to people is you've got to be very secure in your station, in your agency. Your glass has to be full, because if you're lacking, it's going to be hard to give, right? So that doesn't mean you need to be at the top of your success. It doesn't mean you need to be like you got rays of sunshine IV'd right into your heart, right? It just means you need to be able to recognize happiness, joy, success for other people, and call it out and know where your path leads. That's to me the first thing. And then pouring into people is you have to give without that expectation of getting back, and be excited to celebrate people, support them. Like we've got a thing, and then I'll wrap up and let you pick up on it. So we've got a thing where when our fellow Apex people write a book, we go buy it, right? Like even if we've got 27 books to go read, we go buy it, right? Even if it's a book that's maybe not topical to our business, we go buy it. So our friend, Kirsten Smith, I bought her book, Confessions of an Unhappy Housewife. I'm not a housewife, but I bought the book. My wife saw it on Amazon and she says, "What'd you buy this for? Do you think what's wrong?" She thought I was like buying it for her. And I just kind of had to laugh, like, no. I said, no, it's just what we do. It's how we help each other always. And to me, that's an example of pouring in. So I'll let you pick up on it from there.
Well, I have a lot to say on this topic because I think I'm a giver, and I think a lot of people in my space are. But what that means is we often give to ourselves last. And what I've learned throughout the years, because I'm a single mom, I'm a business owner, multiple business owners, I have a house by myself, like I have a lot of responsibility, and I put all those things first. But what happens is that there's really, at some point, there's not going to be anything left for me to give because I haven't, worked on myself. And so the thing I've learned throughout life, and most recently the last 2 years, is I need to have a little bit more harmony within the things that are most meaningful to me. So my businesses, my children, my friendships, my relationships, and myself. And part of that is me saying no so that I can re-energize myself in whatever way is meaningful to me. So I love to go to the beach. I love to exercise. I love to do yoga. I make sure that I make time for these things and that they're not negotiable, because that's the way that I best serve the people that I care about, including my coaching clients, including my kids. I can bring my best self to the table if I make sure I'm loving myself too. And I think that's an important thing that a lot of people forget. And this is especially true if you're used to always giving, or if you're in an industry like coaching where that's actually your job. My job is to allow these individuals to lean on me and come to me with all of their issues so that we can resolve them together. That takes a lot of energy. That takes a lot of energy, a lot of love, a lot of time. I have to make sure I have all of it for them. And so a big part of the way that I live my life is with self-care. I take my mornings to myself. I make sure that I'm supporting me. And then the same way I told you guys, I can give you all the business strategies you want, but you got to be your best self. That's how I show up as my best self. If I show up, and because I did all those things in the morning, I speak to my kids differently, right? I'm ready for them when they wake up. I'm energized. I'm in a good mood. That makes them happier, and they go on to have a happier day. Then I talk to my clients and I'm all energized for them, and I'm throwing some positive stuff at them, and then that makes them have a better day. And the way that I serve myself has a ripple effect for the entire day to anyone I speak to. That's the power of self-care and pouring into you.
Yep. I was just giving, for those that are going to listen to this on audio, I was just giving Jessica a round of applause because, boom, 100% right, like 1,000,000% right. I mean, I love that. Like, if you can't be a leader if you're deficient with yourself, it's really hard, because what ends up happening is
it takes a lot to lead. Like, people are looking at us thinking we have it easy because we are not in the thick of it doing the things on the ground level. But it's even harder to be at the top 50,000 foot view, trying to watch all the moving parts and nurture them all and make sure they're all flowing in the same direction like a team. That takes a lot of energy. And if you are a leader, you really have to focus on making your energy right every day. And it's not a one size fits all. It's going to be different for everybody. And it's not a one touch situation. It's not like Monday I can pour into myself and I'm great for the week. This is a consistent action you have to take on a daily basis to make sure you're showing up as your best CEO self, or your businesses will not be where they could be. It's just a fact, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you want to share, are you okay to share a little bit of what that routine looks like for you in the morning?
Of course. I love talking about this because it's something I learned through trial and error. So 6 years ago,
Yeah, you go first and then I'll go.
Yeah, 6 years ago, I got divorced, and it was a pretty devastating moment in my life. I didn't see it coming, and I felt very irritable. I mean, like, I was depressed and I was crying all the time, and I just was in a really bad headspace. And I would just sleep until my kids woke up, and they didn't wake up late. It's not like I was sleeping all day, but if they woke up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I woke up with them, I was super cranky. And I'm like, I just need my coffee. And right. Like, we all have had those moments. So because of that, I thought, how can I show up better for my kids? Because this isn't fair to them, right? Like, they wake up and they're little and they're like, Mommy, I slept all night and I can't wait to spend time with you. And I'm like, I need my coffee. That's not fair. So how do I show up better as a parent? And this is how my morning routine was born. I said, well, I love waking up and exercising. Let's see how that goes, right? So I decided to set my alarm an hour earlier. I would wake up, and for that hour, I would exercise, and then I would have coffee. And by the time the girls woke up, I'd be like ready to go. And I'm like, oh, well, that was a life-changing moment, right? Well, I started doing it. It became a routine. Then it became a habit. And then I started kind of getting addicted to the way I felt after having this like morning time to myself. So I pushed it earlier, and I added some reading in, and I added some meditation. And then I started doing yoga. So over the course of like 2 years, my morning routine, which is still the same today, was born. I wake up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, which was hard at first, but now is not. And I exercise, and I do some yoga, and then I meditate. I journal my gratitude. I have some coffee while I read, and then I start my day. And this is what I do every single day. And I've been such a happier, more productive person because of it, which again has rippled through to my businesses, my staff, and my children. Because now by the time they wake up, I am present. I am mentally there for them, to hear them, have breakfast with them, talk to them. I'm there for my clients. And then I kind of like have, my day just goes smoother and I'm more efficient. And I found that over trial and error, and I did it in increments, didn't just start one day. I slept till 8. Now I wake up at 4:30, incrementally I added these things and thread them into my life. And now I can't live without them. Like, I'm actually grouchy if I wake up late, or if I skip something, because we all have bad days. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's perfect. There's days I don't want to do it. But what gets me out of bed is I know if I do this, my day will go smoother. And so that's motivation to get up and do the thing, even when you don't want to.
Yeah. And to build on what you shared about what mornings used to look like, grumpy Jessica without her coffee, right? If I may.
You may.
Okay. I just did. It's funny how I kind of like said it and then asked permission, right? Many business owners live their life that way, right? Like, they just go do it. And then anyway, I digress.
No, it's true. It sets them up. You're trying to catch up with the day. When you get ahead of the day, you can actually control the day a little bit more and control the outcome of the day, instead of feeling like you're playing catch up all day long.
Yeah. So on that note, right? So I'll share my routine in a minute, but to pick up on what you said about how you were grumpy in the morning, so you watching, you listening to this, do you think your customers, your clients, your people you work with, do you think they're this intentional about their day? So when you go give away what is potentially your most productive time, which meshes into my day in the mornings, when you feel like, oh, I've got to get up, I've got to immediately abandon myself, the self-care of myself, setting myself up for success at the beginning of the day, to go placate and please everybody else who's waking up grumpy without coffee, do you really think that they're in a frame of mind to possibly get the best from you? Absolutely not. When people hit me up to schedule things, nothing really gets on my schedule before 10 a.m. because that whole time leading up to that, especially on a Monday or Friday, because Monday, Fridays are my days to travel to my business where I work from home Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's a half hour. So like, you're not getting on that calendar before 11 on Mondays and Fridays. But people think it's like, oh, what, do you start late? No, actually, I've been up working on myself, on my businesses, on the plans for hours. And that compiles itself. It's a mix of reading. I make it a point to read something prior to the printing press. So pre-1400. So these are things like the Bible, old tales like Beowulf, The Art of War, because those words were so important that amongst wars, when lands were taken, those stories, those tablets, those tiles, those scripts were picked up and like carried like gold, right, through the ages. So it must be pretty damn good if all that happened to bring it to 2022, right? That's the way I look at it.
I like that
There's
perspective.
gratitude. Yeah, I mean, and truth be told, a lot of what I read is the Bible, and it's not because I'm overly religious, because I'm not, but there's so much that's appropriate if you can, being religious is a good thing. I'm not saying it's not, but there's so much, if you can just get past the veil of the religion aspect of the Bible, there is a lot of great guidance within there. That's all I'm saying. But there's that, there's gratitude, there's planning, and there's structure. Like, I go to bed knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. From that 10 to 4 window, I know what's happening. There's no surprises. And you're right. You feel so much better about your day, and it allows you to accomplish so much more.
100%.
So like, I think if you're watching and listening to this, like, take away that visual that if you watch this of Jessica when she was grumpy in the morning, and like me, I'm equally grumpy, like, just get away type of thing. But take that visual and think about, like, if you're abandoning the prime opportunity to propel yourself, your business, for people that are like that, are they really receptive to your quote? Are they really receptive to the information you have to give them? I don't think so. So
I agree with you, because it's funny because I feel like I keep using the word energy, but it's so important in my life. And I really feel like everything you do is energy, right? Like, the way that you present your offer to people is energy. The way that you present your quote, like you just said, or you try to close someone, or you have an introduction, or you have a speaking event, or you're parenting, or you're meeting someone on a date, or you're talking to your spouse, like, that's all energy. Like, if you think you're not giving off some vibe, you're wrong. And the vibe comes off different when you approach it from a happy, upbeat perspective. Genuinely, people can tell innately when you are putting it on. So the more intentional you can be to have that energy just be a natural part of who you are, your business and your life will change for the positive. 100%.
Yeah. So, we're going to use the word energy because we have comments that come in. Everybody, watching a show on Facebook like this takes some mental fortitude, right? Because you're busting the Facebook algorithm like 37 minutes ago. We're 39 minutes into this thing. But on the topic of energy, Jonna, who commented, so she's somebody that I know in the Lancaster County, Pennsylvania area. So Jonna is somebody I'm immensely proud of. I mean, energy, like buckets of energy. Just carrying it around, right? Like, here, have some, like, you get energy. That's Jonna. She's amazing.
She's the Oprah of energy. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. But Jonna is somebody, when I first met, she's doing Pampered Chef. I think maybe a couple other things, maybe working a job. Today she has her own Edward Jones financial office. Edward Jones is a company that's going to invest in their people, providing they do the work. Right? Like, Edward
Look at
Jones
that, do the work. Oh.
Right. And like Edward Jones' work, like when we say do the work, tribal language of do the work in our world for Jessica and I and everybody connected to us through Apex, we're talking about like social media posting, being a good leader, being a good family member. Edward Jones' work is like go out, hit the streets and knock doors. A lot of them. Like that's work, and because she did that, they chose to reinvest. And John is like somebody that it's like so cool to have seen that happen. And when she said it the first time, I'm like, wow, that's ballsy. And I was like, go do it. If anybody can do it, I think she can. And sure enough, here we are. So like,
She sounds awesome.
I mean, John is just a rock star. And then, we had another comment about giving. So Chris Kurtz, who's just a pretty amazing individual. And I think this might be a good way as we round third base to bring this one home, to talk about giving without expectation and paying attention to people that come into your universe. Because this has been big for me lately. Chris is one of these people. So I met Chris 3 weeks ago. I'm in a film studio with a producer who
Oh, it's a very short time.
Yeah. But like, we're like bonding. Like, it's
Okay.
It's cool. We're like, well, the hard thing, we're there. We're at the bestie thing. We're getting there. But I really believe you need to pay attention to the people that come into your world and what they say when they want to give and how they want to give. Like, don't shut that out with your own BS skepticism.
Yes.
Right.
I have so much. Can I interject for a second? Because I have a statement.
Let me just share what Chris did for me.
Yeah.
So this Friday, I get to go see Bigfoot, the monster truck Bigfoot. Bigfoot for me as a kid was so special for so many ways. Beyond watching it on TV, beyond having the Matchbox car, because we didn't have it, because we didn't have money. I didn't have the Tonka trunk, but Bigfoot was so freaking special for me as a kid. And it's the reason I'm a Ford truck guy today. It's why my oldest boy has a Ford truck. It's why my youngest boy will have a Ford truck. And we're going to go do that Friday. And when you give to people in that way and can make connections happen, you have no idea just how special it can be. You might think it's just this thing I do. But when you constantly have that giver's heart, your network expands. Chris's network is pretty damn incredible. I mean, the guy runs social media for Mercedes-Benz USA. Okay. He's the guy for one of the biggest metal bands in the nation. He had a major rock star in the adjacent studio next to us. So but he found it in his heart to give in that way when he heard me. And I don't even remember how we got on the topic of Bigfoot, but we did. And he heard it and he gave.
That's
and
adorable.
That to me that's just so cool. So
no wonder he has bestie status for that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're gonna totally
that's deserving.
Yeah, we're gonna totally get on with it on Friday night at the Monster Jam show.
Have so much fun.
So yeah.
That's awesome. I love that story. It's nice to see people giving, and it's funny because, like, you're right. People are just so skeptical. Even what I said about the entrepreneur group, people are like, "But why?" And I'm like, "Because I want to give back." And it's such a shocking statement to make. But now people are seeing what I'm doing and they're trusting me more. But it's taken a bit, especially in New York, because we're a bunch of skeptics here. Let's just be honest. But so through our network, I announced that I was going to do this. And, the part that I was scared the most about is so many restaurants have, especially in New York, are still recovering from all of the COVID stuff. And I thought, man, how am I going to get restaurants to donate space really for me to have these events? Because I'm not charging people, so I can't pay to have these big, beautiful spaces, right? So I start to put the word out there, like if you're a restaurant owner and you have a slow day that you need a rush for, like a crowd for lunch, hit me up. I have people I can bring. I want to, do these events, whatever. And I was hearing crickets. So someone in Apex said, I know a guy, let me see if he'll do it. So he connects me and now my friend, Eric. And Eric, turns out I Google him before we connect on Instagram. He seems nice. He's like, let's meet tomorrow. So I look him up. He's got accolades longer than my legs. Like he's been on Chopped. He won Chopped. He knows Bobby Flay.
wow.
He knows, he's friends with Andy Frisella. He's famous, like basically, right? And he owns a restaurant. He owns a bunch of restaurants near me. And I'm like, well, how's this going to work out? Like this famous chef who's been on the Food Network's never going to give me his space to do an entrepreneur event for like 25 people. Cause I'd be lucky at first if I got 25 people, right? So we meet and it's just like, same as what you're saying with you and Chris. It was just like instant connection. I told him my mission is to help people and help them scale their businesses and find freedom from their hustle. And he was just like, I need to be a part of this. He's like, first of all, you can have my big, beautiful space that has a stage, an AV system. Everything I could ever want is in the space. It's beautiful in the back of his restaurant. And he's like, you can have it every month. You could have it every month. And I'm like,
did you get goosebumps when he said that?
Yes, because he resonated so much with my mission of helping people. And he was like, if you want help, I'll do whatever you need. Like, let's do it together. Like, if you want it to be together, I'm in all the way. How can I leverage my network, my people, my audience to help you build this out so that we can help people? And I was just like, I can't even believe it. We're like meeting tomorrow to discuss it more. He's going to be my speaker for this month. It's April 26th at his restaurant. And I couldn't be more thrilled because it makes people excited. It gives people a reason to try out the group and see what it's all about because they're so skeptical of people who want to help them. But there's this niche of people like us and apparently Chris, your friend Chris Kurtz, right? Who like want to actually help. Like we're reaching out just because, not because we have to, not because we need to, not because we need something. We just want to fortify these communities and help them.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to hit that level in life. And when I say hit that level in life, I'm not talking like there's some imagery of Scrooge McDuck with buckets of gold underneath you. It's like, you just need to be willing to accept what the universe gives you. And I know that sounds really woo-woo, but I'm telling you.
Not to me.
Like, right. Like I met Chris because like you kind of put out to the universe, I need a place. And you've got like a place with your chef, with your friend, with all these restaurants. I'm sorry, his name just went right off the top of my head.
Eric. His name's Eric
Levine. Yeah. Eric Levine. Yeah. I mean, you put it out there, it happens. So about this time a year ago, maybe 10 months, I started talking out loud about doing a full-blown infomercial to build a whole bunch of content. I don't have any delusions of grandeur about people watching an infomercial today and having that be success for my type of business. But the point was to create a basis of content that we could whittle down and promote in many different ways. I started putting it out there. I'm giving a quote, a rare day I'm working in the store, on the floor, that is. And so again, listen when the universe tells you. So rare day on the sales floor, customer facing. I give a quote to a client, to a customer, and he says, it'll just be easier when I'm asking for his name, address, phone number. He's like, here, I'll just give you my business card. He's a script writer and producer for infomercials.
I love it. You have to put stuff out in the universe. You have to.
Right. And so many people would just like, oh, okay. And they just move past that. Right. So like,
yeah, you have to open your eyes. You have to open your eyes and accept the gifts that are given to you because they are a gift. Like other people, like I remember telling someone like, Googled this guy and he's like pretty like popular, other people would have not gone or wouldn't have tried, or, you know, and I just went in and did my thing. And I'm like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You can't have that overly attached mentality. To circle all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, when you get super attached to one thing
Right.
and that's like your focus, you can't do that. You have to just be open to the possibility and lay it out there and let whatever happens happens. If this guy told me like, no, get out of my restaurant, okay, then I leave. Like nothing lost, right? Like the opportunity is there to seize if you're willing to see it and grab at it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's so very cool. The story of you and Eric meeting. And I mean, what a great opportunity to kick that off. You know, like,
Yeah, well, it's funny because the first one was already set by the time I had met him. And it ended up being quite comical. It was like the only restaurant that said yes to me was like this little like tiki hut looking restaurant. And they had this back room with all the tiki, with all these tiki decorations. And I was just like, okay, guess we're having like a tiki themed entrepreneur meetup. And the room was tiny. I got a great showing and 5 extra people came. We couldn't even fit them, but we did. We reconfigured the room. The AV system broke. My backup system broke. It was like anything that can go wrong went wrong, but it was amazing. And when I announced the second event, everyone took out their phone and put it in their phone, and everyone's invited people. And then so the next time, within 5 days of announcing, I already had the same amount of people I had got in total for the first one. And we're still 3 weeks out. So it just really is is imperfect action, right? I could have seen that room and been like, this isn't perfect. I don't know. It's not the vibe I wanted. Instead, I just said, well, I guess we're having a tiki themed party. Like that's what's going on. And I just did it anyway. And now because of that, all these other things have unfolded. And I think that's a big takeaway for people. You know, don't wait for the perfect time, the perfect moment, the perfect partner, the perfect whatever. Sometimes you just have to take action and figure the rest out, like building a parachute on the way down.
Oh, I love that process. You know, I like to call it go to the high dive, jump off, and fill the pool on the way down. You know, sometimes I ask where the hose is, you know, or if there's a hose. But yeah, I mean, that statement of action is so important. And what's so cool about that genesis of your story is look at the come up between the first event and the second event. And I'm not saying that's going to happen for everybody listening, that you're going to go from tiki hut to like, you know, nationally famous, maybe world renowned famous chef, but you know, maybe that's not going to be the journey for everybody, that genesis. But if you're doing the work, if you're taking the action, that's what's going to happen. Things like that can happen all the time because the world respects that. The universe respects that. You give out, you get back, but you got to give without that expectation of getting back.
And all I can say for the people out there who are like, that is not going to happen to me, I didn't think it would happen to me either. And it probably wouldn't have if this was like a for-profit thing, right? The point is I'm giving. And I think that that's why I received, you know, because I'm doing this without expectation of anything in return. I really believe that. And but I didn't think it was going to go to this level, like where I strapped a rocket ship to my back and flew up, you know, 16 notches. So if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. Yeah.
Yeah. It can happen to you. It can happen to everybody. You just have to put the time in, take the action, and, you know, put your skepticism at the door, leave it behind. You know, literally I shared kind of beginning of the conversation, our like tech overlords, it's going to run amok on us if we're not careful. You know, it's almost like a moral obligation to give. But like that's kind of ingrained in us as a people. But like seriously, now it's time to give. It really is, because these things exist, and I don't want to live in that world. I want to live in the world we're talking about. I want to live in the world where like you get your awesome restaurant place, and I get to go to Bigfoot, and then like, you know, in a year from now I get to drive Bigfoot. You know, like that's the world I want to live in. Things like that. Those
Me
kinds
too.
of come ups. Those kinds of things that happen. So, Jessica, this was a pleasure. Love hanging out with you.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah. This was a good show. Another great one. So for people to connect with you and real quickly, you've got a call. I know you got one thing coming up. You got your thing in Long Island coming up. So let's talk about Women of Apex. You got that coming up here soon, next week. Oh my gosh, next Friday.
Yeah, I'm speaking on stage next week in Texas for the Women of Apex event. That'll be exciting. So that's in Texas. I have another speaking engagement in May in Tampa for influential leadership. And then I have my own event at the end of April with Chef Eric, and it should be exciting. Lots of exciting stuff happening. But if you want to keep up with me and follow along the journey, definitely follow me on Instagram or Facebook at the Jessica Dennehy. And also head over to my website, pivotandslay.com. You can find my book, my coaching program, info about me, my social media, all that good stuff.
Yep. And that's pivot and A-N-D, not the ampersand. For those listening, pivotandslay.com. So check all the things out that Jessica's doing there. On that Women's of Apex event, still time to get a ticket. womenofapex.com/2022, I believe, is the site. So certainly come there and you'll see an amazing group of people talking. If you liked what Jessica threw down today, you're going to love the day they have planned for you. So, but Jessica, this has been just a pleasure. Very much enjoyed having you on. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule for my listeners. And thanks for being on this show, The Big Ticket Life.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yep. Get ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. You either make excuses or you choose to level up. What amazing guests living the big ticket life. Woo! Woo! Brandon Brittingham.
Appreciate you having me here today, man.
It's that kind of discernment, that kind of focus, that kind of forward thinking that's so important if you're going to succeed in business today.
Jeff and I are like friends. We're real friends.
We are like and so you unlock fortune and freedom without all the stress that normally comes along with it.
It all comes down to your why. Your business, why are you doing it? How is it going to change the world and what's it going to do for your family?
I want you to celebrate your success.
Talk about the struggle. But I promise you, the story is in your struggle.
They'll never be able to say that about me because people only see me working hard in anything that I'm doing whenever they see me
focused on your success and the success of those around you.
But being that constant in your community, good or bad, whether things are great in the community, bad in the community, who's steady?
Unapologetically do business and life on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. What amazing guests living the big ticket life. And we discuss how they do it and the big ticket methods they use. The things that make your life successful so you do life and business on your terms.
In and of itself, the only limitations that we really have on ourselves is the ones that we allow to be put on ourselves. And most people don't look at it in that perspective.
There's nothing wrong with being humble, but there's also nothing wrong with stepping into your superpower and letting people know who you are.
Get ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life.